Hey guys, this is Kristen Simon. I just wanted to kind of run through what a listing with me looks like. I know that there's lots of agents that list property and they have specific things they do. My protocol is a little bit different, and sometimes it's different for each listing. So for instance, if you have an investment listing, something that investors would be looking at, or you are an investor yourself, your listing may have a different protocol and process. I might not put an open house on one that has to be, for instance, gutted by the next buyer or somebody that's coming in to renovate that property. We may or may not be doing open houses on a property like that. But I'm just going to kind of run through some of my steps so you know what your standard listing will look like, okay? So if you have a standard listing and it's, say for instance, like a $425,000 Broken Arrow built in 2002, or something similar, something that's more of a residential home. My normal process is your first week, you're going to expect an open house. So that open house is going to most likely start, say we list Wednesday, we're going to have an open house on Sunday. Sometimes it's 2 to 4, sometimes 2:30 to 4:30. And usually it's me on that first list or the first open house, unless I have a combo of a couple of listings hitting the market at the same time. Then sometimes I'll put a very seasoned professional agent in that first open house and have me hit the second one. The second one will be the following week, most likely on that following Sunday. About 3 to 3.5 weeks in, I typically do what's called a broker's open. And what I do with a broker's open is I bring agents in to view the house and provide them with a little lunch, breakfast, what have you, some snacks. And they come in and they give us some feedback on the pricing, location. And obviously you can't change your location, but they just kind of talk about, how the location affects your price point and it affects the listing in general. Staging, everything from staging, paint colors to lighting, and we talk about all of it. And what I'm looking for when I have a broker's open is patterns. So where if 2 or 3 agents are saying the same thing, hey, you need to notice this, you need to notice that, I'm going to be listening, because I am not the end and be all on all real estate and knowing every single little facet. And I depend on a good team of agents around me to and hear and listen and get feedback so that I can give your listing the best platform. So also you can expect from me that I will probably be intermittently running Tulsa World ads or some sort of advertising. Social media now is our new push. We have to push social media because it's where most people are. So Facebook, Instagram, Zillow is obviously kind of, one of our go-tos for finding listings, because that's where the public is. They're on Zillow, they're on Trulia, they're on Realtor.com. So we're going to make sure that your listing is updated to those platforms as well. And it's my job to look at that. However, I'm not opposed to you giving me good feedback, because I'm also relying on your eyes and ears. For instance, if you are on Zillow and there's an item that's not updating, like sometimes what will happen is Zillow updates every 15 minutes. Okay, so sometimes there will be something that updates and it's not supposed to be on there. One time, years ago, I had an admin error, because sometimes our admins are trying to catch all these details, and I had a house in Florence Park area that showed as 2 bedrooms and 10 full bathrooms. Well, we know that those little bungalows over in Florence Park don't have 10 full bathrooms. None of them do. So it was caught quickly, but it was on Zillow that way. So it happens. These things happen. So if you see something that's not correct, don't feel bad about picking up that phone and giving me a buzz and saying, hey, Kristen, I'm noticing this. Okay? We're partnering together. So it's not just me, it's me with you guys, with you, making sure we get that listing up and running in the best place possible, because I'm going to be calling you and being like, hey guys, we need to make sure to wax those floors, or we need to make sure to have the lights turned on for this showing, or whatever. So I'm going to be partnering with you so that we can have a great level of success and sell that house at the highest possible dollar. So my goal as your agent is really to get you the highest possible dollar. What I'm going to do is also most likely provide you with a CMA, which is stats that show you the numbers in your area. And I will intermittently update you on what's happening in that neighborhood. So for instance, if we have a 3-month run where we have it selling maybe $10 lower per square foot, I'm going to give you that update, because sometimes there are dips in our market. I'm going to give you information. That information helps you be more powerful, more effective on your end, because you're ultimately setting the final decision for pricing, because I'm not going to price it in a different price than you ask, that you tell me to do. I will ask, and I will say, hey, can I lower the price? If you say no, you're ultimately the boss. However, I would encourage you to be objective and look at your statistical analysis and say, okay, what's really happening here? And make sure that you're staying objective, because when you stay objective, you sell faster, you sell higher. So those are some things to just be thinking about. Trying to think of anything else that I need to address with the listing. Also, sometimes you will have situations where maybe you're going out of town, maybe you're going to Dallas. Recommendation is to have somebody, a nice sweet neighbor in place, or somebody like a sister that can run over to the house. Say it hits a real cold streak and it's dipping into the 20-degree mark. Well, sometimes I can run over and turn off faucets, but I'm not a guarantee for plumbing fixes or plumbing mitigation where there's not an issue. So it's really important to have somebody on board, a sister, a neighbor that can run over to your house and quickly turn on faucets, lock a door. Now as agents, we're supposed to lock our doors, turn off lights. However, it's really important to have somebody kind of around that can, be a nosy neighbor. That's fine. Nosy neighbors are great. But somebody that can kind of help with these little things that might come up. If you're traveling, you're not able to be at the house, it's really important to have somebody in place that can check in on your house, okay? Because sometimes I'm stuck at a listing appointment at 8 p.m. across town, and I am in a different place, and I can't manage getting back in and out of your house, or turning off lights after agents have shown it. I'm going to do my very best, but there's times where I'm stuck in a different place. So I just want to make you aware you need to have somebody on standby for that situation. Trying to think of anything else. A great idea, and I always recommend this. When you're listing your property, have lights and blinds, lights as many as you can on, blinds open. Yes, there's a utility bill, yes, but you know what the bigger bill is? If somebody walks into a dark house and doesn't buy it because it feels dark in that house, that's a bigger bill. That's a bigger expense to you. So you want to have that lighting on. You want to have blinds open so people feel the natural light coming inside the house. Because if the agent is having to fiddle with all the lights and turn things on or open blinds, guess what they're not doing? They're not selling your house, okay? So it's really important to kind of have an awareness of that as well. I'm not saying all the time, but if you can keep things light and bright in the house, it's going to make for a higher selling price. It's going to make for a quicker sell. It's going to help you, okay? Let's see. So anyways, I'm going to be updating you at least once a week. If you don't hear from me, it is okay to bug me and call me. Typically, I'm very good about feedback. I'm very good about communication, but there are times where something doesn't or falls through the cracks. Do not feel bad about giving me a buzz and saying, hey, Kristen, what's up with this? No problem, okay? But I'm going to try to get you an update once a week. And if you are staging your house, sometimes we are staging the house. Depends on what the listing calls for, because I do staging at times. So it may take a couple of weeks for the house to get fully staged. In this process, we might be getting photos before it's fully staged and sometimes after. Sometimes we are opening the house and getting the house on the market before it's fully staged. This is a process I do. I've got a handle on it. I don't want you to worry about that, because if I'm putting it on the market as active before it's fully staged, there's a reason. And we have buyers that will purchase that property. Say you have the living room furniture in there, but you don't have the breakfast nook. The breakfast nook is not going to make or break typically the listing. And if it is, I'm not going to have it ready to show until that's done, okay? So just keep that in mind. Give that a little bit of space, because sometimes we're getting movers in place. Sometimes one furniture piece is not available quite yet, so we have to get that one into position. Sometimes a photographer can be there Thursday, not Tuesday. You get what I'm saying. It's a process that first couple of weeks, and I ask you for that first couple of weeks to get you up and running and to get you going. Also, when I list the property, typically I take a 5-day jaunt to make sure I go over my data sheet, make sure everything's set up paperwork wise, and to get the photographer in. So meaning when you sign to the time you actually go active, usually around 5 days. Okay, well, I'm Kristen Simon with Chenoweth & Cohen. Again, this is not necessarily a finite list. Sometimes things are different, and sometimes the listing process looks different, but that's kind of a rundown of my basics and my regular protocol. And I just want to kind of give you a heads up as how I do business. Again, Kristen Simon, Chenoweth & Cohen. Thanks for listing with me.